So, good morning, tacky tourists. Yes. Now, we've even got you a little bit of help. Get your little flag thing there. Well, I don't know what we call those things. Fireworks. We call them fireworks. That's what it is. That's our version of Disney fireworks. And so, you wave every time you like. At least the least you can do is wave the fireworks at me. All right. I want a lot of fireworks going in here. Keep that handy for you. We want fireworks happening. And man, I'm telling you, is it fun to be here or what? I am so thrilled to be here. I am right where I want to be. I went there in any place I'd rather be right now than right here. And by the way, did you notice the sunglasses at all? Does it have a touristy feel to it? Because I probably won't stay this way, but it's probably a nice touch for a little bit. You think, well, anytime during the day you want to say, go ahead and take them off. Don't take them off. Okay, but here's the deal. For you, I've got some great news for you. You are in the right place at the right time. And isn't that good to know, everybody? That's a good thing. How many of you have ever been in the wrong place before? How many have ever been lost? If you've ever been in the wrong place, if you've ever been lost, you know how good it is to get back to right place. It's a good thing. It's a good feeling. And we are right where, I'm telling you something, it is no accident that you are here right now. This is your deal. This is your place. This is just what you need to get where you are supposed to get to get where you are supposed to be. And I'm not just talking to some of you in here. I'm talking to all. What's the definition of all, everybody? All. Right. Very good. That's the definition. All means all. How many of you fit in the category of all? And the rest of you are in trouble. That's all I got to say. I don't know what your deal is. Here, I'll let you watch over my sunglasses. So the deal is, everybody, that makes this critical to you. And it's critical to me to be here, to make sure we get it, because I know it's not an accident that you're here. So we got to make sure that we make it count. So everybody's ready for this thing? Let's do it. Spectacular. And how neat it is this year. I mean, I'm loving it. This is really, we've just decided to make every conference a spectacular conference. And that's what this is. It's spectacular because spectacular makes you spectacular. So here's one of the things. There's this old saying that says, if you see a turtle on the top of a fence post, you can be absolutely sure he didn't get there by himself. Now, that's a really good point to say this. Listen, whenever you go to the top, whenever you soar, whenever you do something that is up there at the top, I want to live a life that is so immeasurably more that everybody would know I didn't get there by myself. It took some miracles. It took some people. It took some help. I knew you guys for what I had in mind for my life when Rhonda and I got married 47 years ago, 1976, before most of you in here were born. Shut your face. At that time, you guys, I knew I didn't want ordinary. I want immeasurably more than all you can think or imagine. Now, here's what else I knew, you guys, just so that you stay with it. I knew I didn't have what it takes to get there. See, unlike probably a lot of you, I knew that I didn't have the talent, the brains, the looks, the inheritance, the background. I didn't have anything. I shouldn't do it. How is that ugly guy that's got nothing going for him? How is he going to reach immeasurably more? Here's what I decided then at 21 and all. I'm going to have some help. So I spent the next 10 years on a quest to find out how I can soar like an eagle and reach immeasurably more than all I ever asked or imagined. So I went on my quest and I picked people. And I picked things. I said, I'm going to go here, I'm going to do there. And I'm telling my poor wife, I'm saying, oh, because I just chase after it just like it's for real that I'm going to do it. And she'd have to chase around with me. She's got a heart bigger than Texas. And she would go and we would go and we'd go. And I would study people. I'd listen to people. I'd memorize stuff. I chose certain people because I knew I was going to have to stand on the shoulders of those who already knew how to soar. And if I kept myself with them, and if I studied them hard enough, and if I just did what they did, I can too, even in my circumstances. So here is the incredible thing. So then part of my journey, as you know, my journey led me to integrity. And at that point, how do I do a company that will give them, every one of them, all of them, immeasurably more? I got to follow the same pattern. So what I did was I chose to do what we are doing so that you could be surrounded by those people, so that you could get the information, so that it would be critical to you. So at Integrity Doctors, we surround you with eagles for one reason, so you can be one. Just in case you don't already have all there is to it naturally. In case some of you would admit that you're kind of in the same boat as me, then what we do is we surround you with eagles. And here's the thing that I'm most proud of and happy about. It has worked. The doctors of Integrity Doctors are so much more successful and so much larger than the entire rest of the profession. It's not even worthy of a comparison. It's incredible the impact that it has had. And for you, it has had an impact on you as well. And here's the funny thing. It's real easy to get to thinking, well, it's just because you're so all fire good looking and stuff. Well, I'm not saying you're not. I'll let your spouse tell you that. But the thing is, I think that what you really do learn is we've had a lot of boosts. We've had a lot of spectacular people. We've had a lot of models. We've had a lot of critical information that I'm going to talk about. And that we've had so much that it's easy to forget how many we've had. Now, I'm going to just remind you just a few of all the spectacular people that we've had just over the last few years. That many of you, how many of you have been with us more than 5 years? Fireworks, please, fireworks. Here you go. 10 years, fireworks. See, boy, look at that. That's a lot, folks. That's a lot. Now, it's easy to forget. I bet you will have forgotten until I remind you. You'll have forgotten about a lot of these speakers. And if you didn't remember the speakers, you for sure don't remember what they said. So I'm going to remind you of some of that, and then I'm just spinning these spectacular ones, just going over some of the lessons that they taught us. There's just a few of them taught us that we might ought to remember. So let me just go over a few. Joe Theismann. How many of you remember Joe Theismann? Fireworks. That's pretty good. Man, he was awesome. What a guy. Terry Bowden, Coach Terry Bowden. Anybody remember him? Yeah, we got some very good. Justin Forsett. Yeah, there's some. Okay, good. Matt Burke. I was just in Minnesota. That'd be a tough one. Good. He was good. Oh, I like him. Johnny Bench. That's good. Yep. These guys, it's just hard to believe how many people we've had in front of us. Steve Garvey. What a guy. I mean, a manly man. Now, when I come back in my next life, I want to look like him, I think. But anyway, great Dodger there. Jim Morris, the rookie. That was a fun one, man. Made a movie out of him the whole bit. That was a good one. Bill Lester. We just had NASCAR. Wow-wee. Dick Vitale, one of my favorites. Had lunch with him just the day before, Thursday, day before yesterday. What a guy. Ann Beeler, or Byler, whatever she said. How many of you know Auntie Ann is who that is? How many of you have ever had an Auntie Anne's pretzel? How many of you have at least smelled one before, going on there? Yeah, there's for sure. What a great story. She was fantastic. Mary Lou Retton was one of my favorites. Ugh, that was a great one. Carly Patterson, another. We've had some tremendous Olympic champions. Tremendous. Bella Caroli, which was the coach for Mary Lou Retton. He was a little hard to understand, but great. If you just had an interpreter, you had it made. Scott Hamilton, I'm going to refer to him. What a great Olympian. Evan Lysacek was another great one. Good grief. Matt Stutzman. Oh, you remember him? If you were there, you won't forget it because he shot an arrow over your head and you thought it was going to hit you. It was just pretty unbelievable. He did it across the whole crowd, you remember? Wow, hey. Randy Snow, another great Paralympian. Tremendous there. Tom Pappas, we sponsored him at the Olympics in 2004. We actually sponsored the entire decathlon athletes going to the 2004 Olympics that was in Greece. So Athens is where we were. So that was a tremendous experience for us. Dan O'Brien, because actually he was a member of the same group, Olympic decathlon. Milt Campbell, same thing. Bruce Jenner, a.k.a., I don't know, we won't get into that just right now. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Jackie Callan, first female pro boxer. Something else too. These people are world changers. They're really something else. Quentin Aaron, star of The Blind Side. You guys remember The Blind Side? How many of you have ever seen The Blind Side? He was the guy. He was the star in The Blind Side. It was tremendous. Wow. Roddy Chong. Whoa. Yeah, your hands going out there. Oh man, was he something or what? That was you don't ever forget that one after the. Patrick Henry Hughes. You're going to hear about him a little bit later. Whoops, sorry. Alton Fitzgerald White. This guy was Mufasa in The Lion King, the original, and was for about a decade or so. Tremendous. Marty Sklar, another great one for Disney legend. This guy is great. I've got a sign thing on there. If you've ever been to the Tiki room, you ever been to that? He was that guy and the designer of that guy and the songwriter and all of it. It was great. Bill Farmer, Disney legend again, the voice of Goofy and Pluto. And that was a very fun one that we had. And if you ever wonder, he is, I guess I won't promote it, but if you ever call Ryan's phone and he doesn't answer, Bill Farmer's who you get, the voice of it, and it's Goofy who answers the phone. And it is hilarious, to say the least. Ashley Eckstein, another fun one there. How are we doing? Yeah, a lot of you remember these. They are terrific. You're doing great. Ron Clark, teacher there. This guy was I was thinking that we had him in Chicago even. I'm not sure. It might have been. But anyway, you don't forget him. If you were there, you remember it. He is a world changer. Susan Urschler. If you're scared of heights, you probably don't want to listen to her. She is tremendous. The 7 summits of the world. Unbelievable. Justin Flom, a magician. I like magicians. I don't know about you guys, but he was fun. Harris III was a magician. That was very good. Nick Walenda. How many of you ever seen or heard Nick Walenda? You know who he is? He's the guy who walked across the Grand Canyon on a wire and all that kind of stuff. Not a good one for heights either, if you're concerned about that. Dr. Robert Schuller. I'll be talking about him with the Crystal Cathedral and the Hour of Power and so on. We'll be talking about him today. Dr. Darius Daniels, we'll be talking about him today, getting to him. Mac Anderson, one of the biggest people in building and getting success principles out to the country. This guy has success. He's founded that best company to do that. Stephen K. Scott, best-selling author. Dr. Dennis Waitley, another one of my favorites that I won't be able to get to today, but tremendous. Larry Wingett. How many of you know Larry Wingett? Well, boy, he is a fun one. He is about as blunt as you'll ever get. You're broke because you want to be, and on he goes. He just goes to town. You don't forget him. Grant Cardone. Many of you may have heard of Grant Cardone. Had him there. Andy Andrews, another great author who is great. So now you have to admit, I've already gone through, this is a lot, isn't it? These are people that have been brought to you. So let me just assure you this. I say this, there's not any competition. There is no one in the history of this profession that has ever come close to making this kind of investment into taking you to the top than what we have here at Integrity. Everything is designed for you, and nobody else has done it like this, so that you can lead the profession, lead healthcare, soar. I mean, if you just stop and think about it, as we are kind of doing here for a minute, the teaching, the teachers, the conferences, the system, the tools, the locations all over the country, and the quality of coaching that you get, it is phenomenal and it is unmatched. Now, what really makes it important and what makes it good is that there is in our country lots of information. I mean, you can Google anything. It isn't that you can't get lots of information, but you don't need just information. You need the critical information to enable you to fulfill your God-given purpose. Now, understand this, everybody. Every one of you, that would be all. What's the definition of all? All. Every one of you. God wrote up a plan and a purpose for you before you were born. Before the foundation of the world. That's why I know that you're not here by accident. Your parents may have told you you're an accident. You weren't. It's on purpose. And you remember and you realize that that's why you're here. You have a purpose. And it's important that you make that purpose, that you reach that purpose, that you fulfill that purpose. Here's the kicker, though. They call this the information age. But the problem with 99% of this information is that most of it is not the information that is critical to you reaching your purpose. It actually is so much information that it gets in the way of the critical information because there's so much stuff there. Most information is not critical to you living your purpose. And many times the information you get from those things is not even true or correct. I'll give you an illustration. Let me give you a metaphor, as we say on Moneyball. Here's a metaphor. My wife has a very large closet. Now, in this closet, that would be as large as many folks' bedroom. And this closet is full. I mean, it's full. Do you guys get the picture? We're talking major hangers. We are talking major shoes. We're talking about lots of stuff in there. Now, you can walk into this room, this closet, with all the clothes that she has in that closet, and then you'll see she'll come out to me and she'll say, Keith, before we go, she said, I don't have anything to wear. Whew, boy. At what point do we reach that she has some clothes to wear? Now, here's what we're really saying. There are so many clothes. There are so many things. There is so much clothes that she can't see the clothes that she would want to wear because it's so full of stuff that she isn't going to wear. Am I getting anywhere at all? Now, our information is very much the same way. We have more information at our disposal than anybody ever in the history of mankind, right? We can know just about anything, and we can get a training video off of YouTube but it is worthless stuff, you guys, because here's what happens. It just gives us a full room of information that keeps us from seeing the critical information that we really need to get. Now, what I want to talk to you about this morning is critical information. We make sure that our speakers give you the critical information that you need to fulfill your God-given purpose. The conferences are designed to give you the information, the critical information that you need to get to your God God-given purpose. And so what we have to do is we have to make sure that we eliminate all the clutter. So then, by the way, so that I don't have a halo over my head, even just the other day, I was, looking for what I was going to wear here. And Ron said, well, what about such and such a shirt? I said, I don't have that. I looked for it. I couldn't find it. She went over there, and, in a few minutes, she found it and pulled it out there. But I couldn't see it because of all my shirts. We have too much clutter of information because it's actually what we should call that we have, this is the useless information age. We have a lot of useless information because it just doesn't get us where we need to go or want to go. So critical information is something that you can use to take you to the highest level of achievement in your purpose. Now, when I say the purpose, one of the speakers that we had was Dr. Darius Daniels. We brought him in to help us with this. Wow, what an outstanding job he did too. And by the way, he's the lead pastor of a multi-site, multi-regional church called Change Church. He has a master's from Princeton University and a doctorate from Fuller Theological Seminary. He serves as an adjunct professor at Princeton. And his most recent book is one that's called Relational Intelligence, and here's what it is: the people skills you need for the life of purpose you want. And so you can see almost immediately why we had him then. That is a perfect definition of who we're looking for. That's the people we need, the people who are going to give us the critical information, not just information, but the critical information we need to accomplish our purpose. And this is then the people skills that we need for the life of purpose. So then here's just some of the things that he taught us. And I want you to get ready to soak in this because you're going to miss it if you don't. Every need is not my responsibility. Every problem is not my purpose. Now that's a big thing to get a hold of, you guys. That's very big because we spend a lot of time trying to fix problems that aren't our problems. Trying to fill needs that we weren't given the responsibility to fill. And the problem with that is this. The problem is that what it takes to learn that, implement it, and give it to others robs you of all the strength and energy and emotions and time and money that you need to accomplish your purpose. But it gets fouled up because of all the other things. So I'll have doctors say to me all the time that they're doing this in their practice. Well, why are you doing that? Well, it's good for the patient. See, they always think that we're all going to just throw up our halo and say, oh, well, if it's good for the patient, then, oh, okay, it's good for the patient. Well, I don't ever say that, for those of you who know when you brought everything's good. There's so many things that's good for the patient. You can't do everything that's good for the patient. That's not the explanation. There's a lot of good things that you cannot do. Do you know that it's more good things that get in the way of our purpose than it is bad things? Most of you know the bad things, and most of you don't want to do the bad things. So that's really not the problem. The problem is you're so busy doing good things, fun things, neat things, that you don't have the energy or the time or the money to do the stuff that you're supposed to do, which is the critical information. How am I doing, everybody? Does this make sense? So what we have to get to is we have to realize that, okay, you say that it's a need. I agree with you. But is it the need that will fulfill your purpose? That's a whole different thing. Every problem is not. Have you ever found yourself solving a lot of other people's problems? I mean, I'm sure you haven't tried to solve Meghan Markle's problems or Prince Harry. Well, maybe. Or somebody like me. Or we try to solve all the airlines problems or all the hotel problems. But here's the problem. Those aren't my problems. So I'm going to expend a lot of energy and time, and we spend a lot of energy and time working on stuff that isn't really our stuff. And it seems like it's okay and it doesn't hurt, but you don't realize how it's taken away from what you really should be focused on, which would be chiropractic, which would be your purpose. Okay, everybody clear your throats. Say this after me and say it like I say it. I am born to heal. I can change the health of my world. I will do whatever it takes. Do whatever it takes. Because I believe. I was born for this. Now, nothing can get in the way of my purpose. And whenever I start doing stuff, things, complaining, solving, and it doesn't have to do with that, that is what chiropractic does. Now, we got to get with the program and get all the other stuff out of the way, because it takes a lot of time and energy to do all this other stuff that has nothing to do with what we're supposed to be doing. There's lots of needs in healthcare, don't you think? So you can't, Dick Vitale, I mentioned there, he works tirelessly for the cure of pediatric cancer. Is that a need? Sure it is. I'm not saying it isn't a need. It's an important need. There's lots of needs out there, but it doesn't happen to be the one that fulfills my purpose. Even though I give a lot to it, but I'm just talking about as far as what am I here to do? To change the health of my world? I do it through natural health care, through chiropractic. That's what I'm interested in. So as important as that is, that's not where I can put my energy and time like he does. It's his. But bear in mind, we just had his gala, by the way, where everybody came into Sarasota there. And believe it or not, this was one night. This was Friday night. And we had one night, and we raised over $12 million in that one night. Is that awesome or what? But here's one thing you got to get a hold of, because the reason I bring them here is so that you can catch a hold of what makes these people great. In 3 months from now, he's not going to have one on heart disease. And then in another 3 months, he's not going to have one on therapy. The truth of the matter is, he limits himself to pediatric cancer. And he says 100% of everything we give tonight will go to the cure of pediatric cancer, not toward office work or not toward, it's all toward research for the cure of cancer. We want to cure cancer. He's focused on his single purpose. He's focused on, that would be a good thing. Thank you. I see that hand. He's focused on one single purpose. And that's why he's so good at it, is because he doesn't let other needs and other problems cover up, get in the way of, clutter, too full a closet, full of other needs. He keeps it that one shirt. That's the way we have to realize that this works. So, to live your purpose, everybody get this, limit yourself to your purpose. Everybody say this after me. To live your purpose, limit yourself to your purpose. Now, obviously, that brings us to the question that Darius answered for us, which is, so what is your purpose? And here's the way he illustrated it, a great metaphor. The reason for the existence of a thing, that is your purpose. You were created for a purpose. Now the reason, you got to then fulfill that reason. So he used a cell phone as an example. He said, let's take a cell phone. Now, I have a cell phone and I could use it for a lot of things. He says, I could use it as a doorstop. But that's not the reason it was created. He said, now, even though I could misuse the use of my cell phone, or he said, I can even not use it for all the things that it can do. So in other words, my cell phone, I may only use my cell phone to answer phone calls that come in on my cell. I may use it to answer phone calls and make phone calls. But we all know right now that cell phone will do a lot more than that now, won't it? So now it's an excellent camera. It's an excellent recorder. It's an excellent note taker. So it has several things in there, and I may only use 10% of what it is created to do. But then I'll tell you what's really neat. If I could only learn and understand everything that my phone will do, and then I used it for its purpose of what it was created to do, that would be phenomenal, wouldn't it? Then it's almost miraculous results. But I would say that I probably only use 10% of it. I don't know if any of you not use, how many of you feel like 10% or something like that? So I'm kind of, well, I don't really know. Now here's the thing about us. We have been given a purpose. And included in that purpose is, for me being a dad, for maybe you being a mom, or a husband or a wife, or a parent, a dad or a mom. All those things kind of come in that. But here's what's important. It's important that we fulfill the purpose that we have been put here for, and not just fulfill 10% of it or 20%. We need to do everything, and that's what makes our life so rewarding. And let me just tell you this, the thing that keeps and makes our life many times frustrating, what makes it frustrating is when we don't align our life with our purpose, and we just end up doing busy work and stuff. Keep in mind, most people are too busy to fulfill their purpose. We're all busy. I don't know if I meet anybody who isn't busy. But if they would get rid of all the things in the closet except for the things that they actually should be wearing, it wouldn't be near that busy. And then you'd have the time to accomplish what you need for your purpose. So here was another thing that he brought up. He said, so use your slingshot. He obviously used David and Goliath. Goliath was much bigger, much stronger, much more experienced. He was a kid. He was small. He was inexperienced, didn't have much knowledge, and all he had was a slingshot. And he said, use your slingshot. It is enough to accomplish your purpose. And David defeated Goliath because he went for the purpose that he was given without excuses. And notice that God did not make him like Goliath to defeat Goliath. I want to say that again because I'm afraid we're going to... God did not make him like Goliath so that he could defeat Goliath. We really make a mistake when we try to be like other people in the healthcare field or bring in other people in the healthcare field like we need a different slingshot. Chiropractic is our slingshot, and everybody get this, and it's enough. Our slingshot, which is chiropractic, is enough to take the lead in healthcare. It's enough to take the lead so that people can get the kind of health that they need. And they need chiropractic first, not last. They need chiropractic as the primary. I want to see what the body can do to heal itself naturally through chiropractic. And then whatever isn't accomplished after that, we'll give to the other forms of healthcare. They can do that. We are not against other forms of healthcare. We just want to be first and not last. How many of you have ever heard a patient say, well, I've tried everything else and it hasn't worked, so I thought I'd come here? I want to turn it around. I want them to do this first, and if there's still a problem there, you would do it anyway. You'd refer them to somebody else. But I don't want it last. I want it first. That's the purpose, and that's how we begin the journey of changing the health of our world. Because the slingshot that God provided David was enough to defeat his giant. How many of you think then that the slingshot he's given us is enough to defeat the giant? So let me give you an example then of what I consider to be critical information for you and I to be able to fulfill our purpose. Critical information for me, one is the Bible is critical information. The Bible is critical. I don't mean to offend anybody. If it does, I don't really give a rip. I consider it critical information. So here's the deal. It's been here for thousands of years, and it still stood the test of time. Not one word has been altered. Not one word has changed. Not one word should be changed. What applied thousands, think about this, what applied thousands of years ago still applies today. Now, come on, is that amazing or what? How many things are you going to say that's still going to work 5,000 years from now? Well, we'll never know because nobody will remember what you said. But we remember the Bible. And it is stuck around. What do you think of them apples? Pretty hard to argue that. So the deal is, you guys, I consider that to be critical information. So I study it, I soak in it, I want to know it. It requires no editing, and it requires no updating. You know, one of the things that kind of makes me sick about the United States of America, because as Americans we are so stinking egotistical. We think that we have the wisdom and the knowledge that we can edit the Bible for what it says. That's a really egotistical, stupid thing. You can't outsmart the Bible. Forget it. What you say is not going to hang around. So the stuff that we give, you really think that a journalist or a media person can say something that 2,000 years from now is still going to be true? Not even going to be right with their name. They can't do it. The Bible, that's critical information. Here's another one. You need to study, and boy, get this, you guys. You need to study. This is what I learned. This is what I spent years doing. Study what it takes to master a positive attitude. Now, a lot of people don't believe this, you guys. A lot of people consider a positive attitude, they consider it fluff. So I can talk about a positive attitude and say, okay, you used to, all those little lines that we can put in a book or something like that, but the truth is it doesn't mean anything to, tell me the science that I need to be able to get to our, no, you are the one that's wrong. A positive attitude is not fluff, and you're wrong. A positive attitude is critical information. How you have it, how you keep it, how you get it back if you lost it. It's critical information. Let me tell you this right now. If you don't do this, if you don't keep yourself immersed in it, keep yourself around positive people, keep yourself getting critical information of positive attitude. If you don't, you're going to lose it, I promise you. How many of you have kids? How many parents we got in here? Have you ever seen your kid have a real positive attitude, and all of a sudden, after a while, they start talking very negatively, and they start going, hey, how many of you ever seen their attitude change? What's the first thing you know that probably has caused this? They've got a new friend hanging around some people that are fouling up their attitude. How many have seen that before? And sometimes it's other things, but it's a biggie. One of the speakers, our spectacular speakers that you saw a picture of was Olympic gold medalist Scott Hamilton. Here's what he said. I firmly believe that the only disability in life is a bad attitude. Isn't that something? It's because your attitude will determine your altitude. It is your glasses. When your attitude is bad, you won't see opportunities that are there because your attitude was bad. When your attitude is bad, you won't see the people that could have really helped you because your attitude was bad toward those people. Your attitude impacts everything that comes your way. And if your attitude is bad, you will miss everything that comes your way that's supposed to get you to your purpose. It causes you to miss the people, the circumstances, the information. It causes you to miss your world because of your attitude. Some of you know we live on this island and surrounded by Tampa Bay, and when we first went to look at the house, and it's immeasurably more than I would have ever dreamed or imagined. I mean, make no bones, what can I say? All I can say is I'm grateful. But here's the thing. When we went and looked at it, the first time I saw it, I hated it. And we walked away from it and didn't go back for months. And the reason I walked away from it, because the person who had it full of, I don't know, it was all kinds of stuff that wasn't my taste. So all I could see was stuff that I didn't want, which kept me from seeing the stuff that I really would want if I could only see it. We walked away from that house, didn't go back from March until June, because everything else the door closed on. And when Ron and I went back, we took Ryan and our interior decorator person, Erin is her name. And when they went through the house, they came back to us, they looked at us and said, "Are you crazy?" They said, "This is amazing." I said, "It is? What's amazing?" And they pointed out all the stuff that they could see that I couldn't see because I was blinded by the stuff I didn't like. Have any of y'all ever been blinded by the stuff you don't like? Now, I'll give you a real critical example of this. So when we were looking at the house, when we were talking about going back and looking at it after about 3 months, I said, "Rhonda, did that house even have a view of the water?" Now, if you can see the house, it's nothing but glass walls looking out over the water. And I couldn't see the views for the stuff that I didn't like in the house. You guys follow what I'm saying? I'm just trying to be honest with you. Your attitude matters, you guys. You think attitude is fluff. You are wrong. Attitude is everything, and if you don't realize it until you get a bad one, and then a lot of times you don't realize you have a bad one, but you really do. What you call a bad attitude is usually realistic. So, study a positive attitude. The next one is study and master communication. Communication is a big deal, you guys. Such a big deal. It isn't taught in the schools, and yet it's everything. We don't go one day without having to use communication. And yet we invest no time in learning how to be really good at it. I find that to be fascinating. So, here's the deal, you guys. When you study it, if you're poor in communication, do you realize how much it impacts business, family, personal, everything? By the way, what would be the number one cause of a failed marriage? The lack of... That's right. What would be the number one cause of the problems that many times our own children have because we didn't give them the communication that they need? Our communication needed to be better. When you look at what communication will do, what's keeping people, by the way, what's keeping people from coming to chiropractic? How come we don't have 80% of our population now? How come we don't? Number one reason, I'm telling you what, the number one reason is communication. We don't do it. We don't give it. You know it, so you keep it to yourself. The number one big thing that we put in your hands that's so important is we give you the communication to give to the patients so they get it. I try this almost every day. I'll be with somebody who hasn't been to chiropractic, and I'll talk to them, and I'll give them our simple, brief explanations that are in your reports that you have. And they would say, "Wow, I didn't realize that. I've never heard that." Yeah, that would be true. Because we're so busy telling you how to do, I don't know, stuff. Things. But not telling them what would chiropractic do. Well, here's the deal. And I'll just say briefly. So what we teach you is, and you can get it in the stuff, there's 4 types of communication. Audible. The audible communication is, it's not what you say, but it's how you say it. That's right. Another one is visual. It's visual communication. Here's the funny thing about visual communication. If the visual message contradicts the audible message, people will believe the visual message first. Therefore, when you have a drug commercial, as an example, they'll be telling you all the bad side effects of that drug. Well, you will die, you will hemorrhage, you will have, brain, all. And while they're telling you that, they put a picture of, a man and woman throwing each other up in the air and, swimming in the, and they're hugging each other. So even by the time they give you 30 seconds full of this is going to kill you, you didn't even hear it because you say, aren't they happy? Because the visual message contradicted the audible message, and we believed the visual message first, which is why they did it the way they did it. So we have to understand the importance of the emotional message. The emotional message. I can do it just real quick, but this is a whole study. This is why I need to study it. Fire. Your house is on fire. Now, how many of you are going to go do anything with that kind of an emotional message? I may be saying fire, but it sounds like I'm saying, go to sleep. There's nothing wrong. But if I say, fire, honey, fire, we're on fire, the house is burning down and we're going to burn it and we're all about to die. My emotional message changed, didn't it? Now I sound urgent. There's an emotional message that's kind of always. And then, of course, there's the intellectual message. We're sure. We're sure. We have an intellectual message. I don't say it with I think. I say it with I know. A lot of you don't get the message across because you say it as a think and not as a know. A lot of you sound like you don't really care or you don't really buy it. We got to change. You got to become an expert at your communication. So these things what I'm talking about here, that report, those reports that you give, patient education, the right place promise, all those things. You got to study and master communication. So here's the deal. To study all these things, we've put people in front of you that are masters of these things. One of my favorite is Dr. Robert Schuller. He's one of the ones that I studied for years. And he was born at the end of a dead-end road, a dead-end dirt road. He was born at this dead-end dirt road that had no name. It had no address at the end of this house. In Sioux County, Iowa. Oh, I know. See that? Yeah. You heard those four. Now, he was also born in the middle of a flood. They were on a flood there at the time on this dead-end road. And at the end of this dead-end road was a house that had 3 bedrooms. One was for his mom and dad. The other one was for the 4 girls, 4 daughters. And the other one was for the 3 boys. They had no bathroom, no toilet, no running water, no electricity. Now, I'm going to say those things. You say, no big deal. Really? Have you never had your electricity go out before? And if I called you when your electricity out, you wouldn't say, oh, it's driving you crazy because you so rely on electricity. No electricity, no running water. Here was Dr. Schuller's attitude. Does everybody catch it where you get it? You can go anywhere from nowhere. Now, that's a little different perspective in it, rather than, well, you guys should just pay me to do everything for me. It's just not fair. When I was born in this, I was born in that. I just didn't, it's just not fair. Really? That didn't sound like Schuller to me, did it to you? His response was, well, shoot, good news is, you can go anywhere from nowhere. Does attitude matter, you guys? And how many of us could probably improve our attitude skills? So here we go. He's written over 30 books. Now, see, I say all these things and we just fluff over like 30 books, you guys. Most people haven't ever read 30 books. He has written 30 books. He had, for years and years, the most watched television program, and it says, I know, I'll do this one slide, maybe it'll get me going. So, it was called The Hour of Power. Listen to this. He averaged, and it was every week, he had over 10 million viewers a week. 10 million. Now, I want to tell you how much that is with another metaphor. CNN doesn't have one program on their entire network that draws 1 million. He had 10 million every week. More than 10 CNNs. Is that pretty amazing or what? Yeah, I know. Well, it kind of goes for everybody else too. He just creamed everybody. Isn't that something? I used to then as a kid, starting in my 20s, I used to fly out to Southern California where we had the Crystal Cathedral, and I would fly out there because he would have leadership conferences. I wanted to know what made this guy tick because he was far and away above everybody else. So how did he get there? And I would go out there for a week or two at a time, and I'd listen to him. I'd take the notes. I'd buy his stuff. I read his books. I got his tapes. I do everything. I wanted to know what made him tick. You understand why? So you can imagine how thrilled I was. You can imagine how thrilled I was when we got to a point where we could bring him here, what ended up being just before he died. So I wanted him to become part of me because what he had to say was critical information. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break for 8 minutes or so. And then we'll come back and with more critical information. Ready to do it? All right, let's break. I'm going to figure out how to do this. Very good.